everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe show. My name is Sharon.
Hey, everybody. My name is Joe, and we are accompanying with our hens and our dogs and our unofficial sponsor of the Sharon and Joe show, Dunkin' Donuts. And they're on probation right now until inflation comes down. I want to see what they do with the prices for coffee. But in the meantime, they are our unofficial sponsor.
Joe, you're dreaming if you think that Dunkin' Donuts prices are going to come down.
They'll come down. They're not like Starbucks. They'll come down.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, yes, we say Dunkin' Donuts is the unofficial sponsor because we always have Dunkin' Donuts when we're doing the Sharon and Joe show.
And unofficially, guys, every November, we do a gratitude show, and we thought we would do one tonight because of Thanksgiving, and it's kind of something that I'm used to doing every November because if you guys know my background, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and every November we used to do a gratitude meeting. We sit around and talk about the things we're grateful for. My nature innately is I could be selfish and like egocentric and ungrateful, unfortunately. And thank God I have empathy and I have love and I know what it means to love and be loved. But those things I struggle with because of my CPTSD, and I still like have an issue sometimes not being able to control the outcome and accepting life on life's terms.
I just have to go back for a minute because I think you made something up.
What's that?
Do we have an annual gratitude show?
Yeah, I made sure of it. Like, I never told Sharon this, but every November, since we've done the Sharon and Joe show, we've done a gratitude. So you can check it, I bet you. I might not be like as official as I just announced it, but yeah, there's always like
I
a
keep
gratitude
just saying
show.
this, and I'm like, I'm not even aware that we do this.
You're like, oh, we do?
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
We do, whether you know it or not, I sneak it in there. But it's good for me, you guys. I'm a quick forgetter, which is why I like doing this show. It helps me remember my beginnings.
Wait, that sounded horrible. I'm a quick forgetter. That's why I like doing the show, so you quickly forget you've done the show.
No, I do it because I sometimes can forget my beginnings and what it was like and where I came from and what happened and the not so great choices and decisions I made through my emotional thinking. So when I go back and I talk about it, it helps me remember, and it also gives me a point of reference to where I was 3.5 years ago to where I am today. And that point of reference that I use helps me to be grateful because I can forget that. You know, I could be struggling with some little issue that's not a problem, it's a challenge. And it's a huge problem in my head. And I forget, like, I shouldn't be alive right now. You know, like I was saved from not only my alcoholism, but from my codependency and from a whole bunch of just shit, you know?
Well, what's really helped me a lot is by being very deliberate in the way that I act and the things that I do. I know I've said that to you before, and I always feel like that sounds like I'm being fake. I don't mean that. But in order for me to have any semblance of a life that I'm happy with or to have or do the things that I want, I need to almost, and this is probably the best way to put it, is, okay, how do I want to be? And what would the woman I want to be, what would she do now? You know, and try to do that at that time. And it has helped me tremendously, and I've been able to do that. I've been able to work on different things like feeling angry. Suddenly I've been able to, diminish that by being very deliberate. I've been able to get myself in better moods because, I'll have gratitude for something. I'll deliberately think of something. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's helped me a lot.
Well, not only has it helped you, it's helped me because I see it. And for me, I listen with my eyes. I'm one of those people who's like, show me, don't tell me. And I've seen you move with purpose and intent. And it's conscious, you're very aware of it, and you practice that. And I know what you mean. It's not like fake it till you make it, but you practice being the best version of yourself you can be, and that's huge. I don't think that I'm negative, but I'm kind of realistic, and I kind of veer towards like the depressive side. So that definitely helps me, and it helps shift my own perspective and focus to looking at not so much what I don't have, but all the things that I do have today. And I might not be like accomplished my goal yet, but I am accomplishing these little goals in between. I'm headed in the right direction. I'm moving with purpose, and I'm moving with intent.
Yeah, I actually don't think that you're that negative. I think what ends up happening to you is that you try to live a positive life because I see you do that. But if something happens, if something goes wrong or whatever, it's not the way you want it to be, at that point is when you suddenly immediately go towards the negative. Well, of course, like, this always happens. Life is horrible, like that type of thing. Because I don't see you like that all the time. It's just, when push comes to shove at that moment.
That has a lot to do with my CPTSD and some of the things that recently happened to me within the last 5 years, that it was like one thing after another thing after, and you're doing everything that you can and you're doing your part, and you just need the universe to give you a break. And you know that it's giving you a break over and over again, but you mean a break that you could really feel and is tangible, so that you get caught up and it's like, yeah, I slipped back into that. And the only thing that I know what to do is, okay, Joe, like, make it through today and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving one foot in front of the other. Just don't stop.
Yeah, I'm better at it now, understanding you, because when I used to get that way, it used to frustrate me because I couldn't understand why. Because it would seem almost like you would go from one extreme to the other. But I understand it now. It's just it's almost like I don't know if protection is the right word for it, but it's if something goes wrong, you kind of just. Is it easier for you to go up from the bottom instead of holding on to hope when you're feeling depressed?
Yeah, it is. And it's during those times that I lose my gratitude.
Yeah.
It's just not natural to me to be that way. I'm not an asshole, but I'm just naturally not grateful. I have to work at it. Some tools that I use is like that time frame I have, like from 3.5 years ago to here, is night and day. It's like my whole life has changed for the good. And I was at death's door.
So a reminder that it will get better, it can get better.
It's not only, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm headed in the right direction, Another thing is, I remember about 2 or 3 years ago when we weren't together, I called you on the phone. It was like close to midnight, and I was having a panic attack, bad. And a lot of stuff happened, including my car getting stolen, the electric was off. And I was like, I was worried about not having enough money for my lawyer for the next time I got to pay him. And you were like, look, Joe, just take a deep breath with me. Let's walk down to your refrigerator, open the door. I did. And you're like, do you have some food in there? Yes. All right. Is the heat on? Yes. Are the boys, they have a bed to sleep in? Yes. So, like, I started to we did a gratitude list without actually consciously doing one. And I was like, okay, I got everything that I need. I don't have to make any decisions tonight at all. It's just I have to get through tonight. And not only do I have everything I need, but there's an abundance there. There's also things that I have that I don't need, and those are the times that I really need to remember. Hey, look how far you've grown. Like, you're okay. God will provide. He has for you every single day of your life. You're gonna be okay. It's that hypervigilance and anxiety and stress from going through what we all went through, and coupled with other things that like really get like a big ball of stress in my stomach.
Well, when you're dealing with things like this that we're dealing with, when you're dealing with a narcissist, is at your very weakest. You're forced to be as strong as you can possibly be, even though at that moment you feel like a feather could knock you over. And then even just regular everyday life stuff seems like too much. So forget actually trying to deal with getting a divorce, or even things like switching over the electric from, the ex's name to your name and things like that, just or making sure that the kids are going to the dentist, and things like that can just feel so overwhelming, and you really realize, especially later, what you've been reduced to. When I think back to just how ridiculous it was, how unfair it was, how cruel it was. And I know this is for you too, Joe. We're living our life, or we thought we were living our life, and all of a sudden the rug was just pulled out from under us, and we're starting over from scratch, even though we're already halfway through. It's horrible.
And then that's the time that we need to consciously work on, I don't like to call it recovery, because we've recovered. We were hopeless and we have hope, but to work on a spiritual well-being, as far as, but look at the positive things that happened. This is how we met. We're soulmates. This is how we met. The kids are okay. They're doing good. Everybody's so we have to consciously look at the positive things in our lives at that time, especially because if we don't, there's a place that I can go to in my head is I call it the desert, where I tend to isolate, and it's just I'm alone. And no matter if I'm a crowd full of people, I'm just there, and I'm very sad, and I'm in pain, and I don't have to be that way. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, that there was a point in this last 5 years or so where I didn't have a choice. Like I was clinically depressed and just, but that power of choice came back to me, and I have a choice today. Like I could either choose to be happy or find peace through this, or I could choose to go back to that old pattern of thinking of gloom and doom.
Yeah.
And I choose love. I don't choose pain anymore, and pain used to be my motivator.
It's a hard thing, I think, for everybody going through this. It's like I said earlier, you're reduced to just the lowest form that you've ever been. And at the same time, you're trying to start over. It's very difficult. Like even now while I'm talking to you, I don't want to say I'm getting down, but I feel that spirit of just disgust.
You say it's difficult. To me, in my experience, it's impossible. Like it was no way I was getting out of this without God. Like God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. He did the impossible. I knew it was impossible. I couldn't do it. And I did the little baby steps, the possibility of it. And then from there, it just blossomed.
But you had to have had hope, right, the whole time in order to move forward step by step.
That's the irony. At the beginning, I didn't. I had to be hopeless for my ego to be knocked down so hard to cry out for God. And ironically, it was through that one moment of hopelessness that I was like, okay, what's the last thing I could try to do here? I was like, God, if you're out there, if you hear me, please, I need you.
Yeah.
And it was through that hopelessness that I began to get hope. But that hope was given to me by actively working on my relationship with God, making that a reality, not some like concept, but an actual reality as father and son relationship.
That's the same with me. I started doing that with God too. Not really for both of us. That's just something to pay attention to if you're still in the process of getting out. For both Joe and I, it really was God step by step that got us to the place where we could both get out.
It was the pain, it was the hopelessness that made me desperate enough to reach out for God. And if there's anybody out there listening, my biggest hope for you is I hope you're desperate, because that's where the amazing grace will come from. It's Sharon mentioned it, like we were beaten up and we're expected to start over at our weakest. There's a quote in the Bible, somewhere in Scripture, where God talks about, in your weakness is when I will make you strong. Like, but our recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse, it's not that we're here talking about how great we are. What we're trying to convey to you is that, like, it's an example of God's power. It's His love, His mercy. He cares about each and every one of us. And wherever you're at, whether you're without the narcissist, whatever, that relationship is vital for peace and serenity, in my experience. I've tried other paths up the mountain. They just don't work.
You know, that's interesting. The other day I was listening to something. It was a priest, and he was speaking about hell and how people get so afraid of Satan. And he's like, you don't need to be afraid of Satan. You need to put your trust in God. You need to focus on God. Satan is under God. You need to focus on God. So like what you were just saying made me think of that, Joe. And that's really what it is. When you're dealing with this, focus on God. That's where you need to put your focus. Even when you think you can't, or you're too tired, or it's not possible to make this work, He will find a way for you.
Whatever you call it, Satan, the devil, evil, it's very difficult to do in the face of evil you've been sleeping with or been living with for 20 years. And that demon, that evil, that negative energy is in your face, to know that God is omnipotent and He is all powerful and He is the creator of everything, and that He can protect us and guide us. So that's what I do now. My focus has been less of using God as my my personal servant. Like, hey, God, could you do this? God, please give me this. And it's been more towards, no, God, what can I do for you? And He doesn't even need me to do it, but He loves me enough. He knows that through loving others and being an example of just His mercy and love, that's where we get our spiritual food. That's where we get our growth. That's what helps us grow in life.
I agree, and that's a great way to end tonight's show. Although I was going to say, did you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing tomorrow?
No, I'm not sure what we're doing tomorrow.
Paris.
Oh, yes. Okay, so our daughter is having her book signing tomorrow down in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. It's a beautiful little village by us. And she's publishing her Christmas book. It's called The Empty Manger.
Yeah.
And this is her like fifth or sixth, seventh book she's published, guys, and she's 20.
Yep, 21.
21 years old, and she's published 7 books for real. And we're really excited for it. Sharon, make sure you like this. It's a really cool book. It's for kids like from, I don't know, 10 to 14 or something like that.
It's like 7 to 10, that range. Although older too. I read the book and enjoyed it.
I was a late bloomer, so when I used to go to the library, we had to do book reports. I get to I'd be 17 or 18, and I get the 13, 14-year-old books and read them. So. But it's an awesome book. It has illustrations on it. She's put in a lot of work. It's cheap too, man. I mean, it's a beautiful
you guys,
book.
It's a great
book. Was it like
book.
$15, $20?
$10.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So if you could help, I mean, this is a good kid. I mean, she helps inspire us. She's just a blessing. I always wanted a daughter. I love my 2 boys by birth, and I love our other son too. But I always wanted a daughter, and she's man, I can't even describe to you how awesome she is. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. But Sharon, make sure you put on some kind of link or something. So
I'll have some link. I'm actually going to have Paris on pretty soon. She'll be excited to talk about it. So yeah, so we're doing that tomorrow. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I think Joe was horrified at first.
I was like,
but,
oh shit,
yeah.
whose birthday did I miss?
Oh my God.
Okay, your birthday's
It's our anniversary tomorrow, honey. Come on. Uh-oh. All right, you guys, so I will see you later in the week. And Joe, I will hopefully see you next week, actually, because I want to do some stuff with the Sharon and Joe show coming up.
And then we also, I drag my feet on this. We got these special Christmas boxes from Hobby Lobby, and they have them everywhere. And there's this organization that I'll let you explain it, but basically we're trying to get some little gifts in for some children that are in other places on Earth where they're not
It's Samaritan's Purse. They do this thing called Operation Christmas Child. I've done it with my kids for over 10 years. It's part of what we do every Christmas. So you get a shoebox and you choose an age and gender for your child. So it would be male or female, 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14. And you choose somebody in that age range, and you fill a shoebox up with stuff that they could use. So toiletries, little toys, school supplies. So Joe and I are doing a 10 to 14-year-old boy.
Now, the cool part about the show, you guys, is not only do you have 2 different genders, but you have 2 different personalities and perspectives. So while Sharon's all excited, I'll tell you, because I'll be honest with you, with the gratitude thing, every time we go, and it's only going to cost $20 or something like that to fill it up, and you get some really cool stuff and have fun with it. I'm thinking to myself, in my head, okay, so, and I'm expected to do this, and then we have the 4 kids, and Christmas is coming up in the winter, and I'm going to have less work, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So for a guy like me, it's really important to remind myself of the blessings that I do have. And I hope you guys, at some point, maybe this today or tonight or whatever you guys listen to this, whether you're lying in bed or just kind of meditating, it's important. I think it would be good for all of us to look at the things that we do have and use that point of reference of where we were and where we're at. Are we going in the right direction? And just giving time. And I always remember that famous Shakespeare quote, "This too shall pass." It will if you allow it, but the only way through it is through it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joe. All right, you guys, I'll see you later, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.